Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Once again, it is time for my client MS Vlog, who is for many of you your favorite segment on my channel, longest lasting vlog we've ever had. Uh, she's back into training now. She's able to train again, although we did have a bit of a bumpy week, had to take an extra couple days off due to a pretty bad cold. But we've got her back in the rotation. Uh, I had a bunch of people come in when they're like, oh, you're excusing her party lifestyle. It's not a party lifestyle. It has to do with some business related stuff that her and her husband, they're both clients. They were both clients for years at this point, that they were doing that was taking very, very large amounts of their time and energy and travel. Okay. And it's directly related to making money, not partying. So I don't know where people come up with this nonsense. But we're getting close now to where her strength was before after a couple weeks. We're not quite there based upon, these max effort lifts. Chin ups are decent though. So we started the week off with a bench press against light bands, 30 pounds of bands. Then we did floor pressing. We did chin ups. We do upright rows, and then she does band press downs. And again, people are noting that, yeah, I'm not putting the sheets up now because almost all of my vloggers, other than two, are on Conjugate, and eventually I will want to put them on Conjugate. And so you guys already know what a Conjugate templates look like. So the only thing that varies is individual volume for the individual lifter, percentages on speed work, and what exercises we plug in. Okay, there's not that much difference in the overall training approach. They're all similar programming because that's what I run, that's what I use, and I just custom tailor it to the individual lifter. And I assess stuff, right? We pick movements and things based upon their weak points. Okay, that's how we do it. But this week she pulled for her max effort lower. We did sumo against 75 pounds of bands, and it actually was a pretty respectable pull. It's almost back to where she was. So she'll bounce back quick. She'll bounce back quick. It's just a matter now of getting sleep, appropriate food, plenty of training now that they're caught up with their stuff. So after the the deadlifts, we go into split squats with SSB. And that's one of the things that comes up. People will often ask me, hey, some of your lifters do more quad work than others. Well, some of my lifters do a lot of sled work. And if they're doing sled work and I've got them doing plyometrics and stuff, I rarely put a lot of quad work in. And I've gotten sub 200 pound lifters up to 500 pound squats that way. It's fine. We'll focus on their posterior chain more. But if they're not dragging a sled, they're not doing a lot of that stuff, and we need more quad and adductor and things, we really base it upon what equipment they have. I love a belt squat if we've got one. But failing that, I'll use a leg press, I'll use a hack squat, I'll use single leg exercises like that, especially if they've got some specialty bars or we can rotate that with dumbbells to do single leg exercises, right? Because we can always change stances on a belt squat or a leg press in order to avoid overuse or adjust things. But with the single leg movements, that's a little harder because your stance is pretty well set, but we can change implements. So having an SSB and dumbbells both will work. After that, then she does glute ham raises and reverse hyperextensions. Again, movements I tend to prescribe a lot if they have them available. Hanging leg raises, again, one of my favorites, probably my favorite ab exercise. So, the other thing with that too, the stuff comes up with the glute ham raise, and I get people who are like, is it essential? Do we have to have even that movement pattern? No, we don't have to have it by any means. Like, even if you don't have a leg curl, okay, we can build big, thick, massive hamstrings without getting that particular function of the knee in. Okay. It can be done with hinges. Like, I can build thick hamstrings with pulls of different types and good mornings if I have to. Like, not a problem doing it. All right, speed benching. She runs my standard rotation, which is 9x3, rotating 3 grip widths against bands or chains. Of course, she uses bands because she didn't have chains. Afterwards, right now, I have her do flat dumbbell presses. Again, good hypertrophy movement. Gets a lot of mechanical tension on the pectorals. And again, a lot of my people do a lot of dumbbell benching. It really depends on the lifter and what they have available. But yeah, a lot of my lifters do that. A lot of my lifters do incline work in this slot. So we really base it upon what they seem to need at the moment. Where their weak links are. Is it more pec, more delt? It's the stuff that we look at. But in her case, we're really hitting both quite well, because after the speed benching, we're doing dumbbell work, and then we do these upright rows. So we're getting a lot of shoulder and delt involvement anyways. And then, of course, we do the band press downs, which everyone knows I'm a big fan of. I've run very long phases of them, to where I did very, very large amounts of volume, and they really carried over well to my bench pressing. So I do like them. I like the idea of them. And I may run some phases again of that myself. And a few of my lifters, I do that also, depending upon their needs. In her case, though, we keep it moderate, five sets of these a couple times a week. And it will handle most of her tricep development. And if I want more for her, I just work in closed grip benching. And that's the other thing, too. When we pick our assistance bench to do our assistance press, we start looking at, do we want a wider grip bench, a closed grip bench, a floor press, whatever we want there. We can really look at where our weak links are in the bench and say, okay, what variation do we need to build those up? And a lot of my people during building phases, I'll just do nothing but dumbbell work anyways, outside of the max and the speed stuff. All right. Great for overall thickness, just general hypertrophy, and fairly easy on recovery. So if they have access to a lot of dumbbells, I've been known to do that for phases and build some pretty impressive benches for people's body weights. All right, so dynamic lower, though, we did, again, safety squat, box squat against bands. She did deadlifts against bands, and I didn't check, was that, I think it was conventional this week for this block run conventional. Then she does safety bar good mornings, again, building those hamstrings, glutes, posterior chain, glute ham raises, reverse hyperextensions, and hanging leg raises. Again, this is a combination you're not really going to go wrong with. All right? You're not really going to go wrong here. Unless these movements are creating problems for you, or recovery issues or overuse issues, which, can happen. Can happen. I run into problems with the glute ham raises myself sometimes. Just in terms of the cramping and sometimes the tendon inflammation and stuff the next day. But that aside, these are always good ways to end. Okay. Do good mornings, glute ham raises, reverse hypers, and hanging leg raises at the end of any lower session. And it's your assistance work, and you're not going to go wrong there. Like, even if it's not optimal for your situation and it's not the best movements, you're still probably going to get results from it. At least I've found that to be true. Okay, because it will just make your entire posterior chain stronger and your entire core. So again, a combination you're probably not going to go wrong with, and we can deviate from stuff like that when we have very specific needs, right? Such as if maybe they need some goblet squats, maybe they need a leg press, maybe they need to focus more on good mornings and not glute ham raises, all right? All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.